Over the last 25 years, I've had the privilege of interviewing and highlighting some truly interesting people. Everyone who is anyone, both the famous and the infamous. From presidents and their first ladies to kings and queens, movie stars and pop stars, captains of industry, heads of state, sports personalities, innovative entrepreneurs, and some pretty fascinating everyday people. Today I'm proud to introduce you to Ronald Lewis, an attorney who has made it his mission to be an advocate for his clients and the community that he serves. Counselor, it's a pleasure to meet you and a pleasure to chat with you today.
Glad to be here.
Wonderful. So, Ron, let's just start with, as a lawyer, you've risen through the ranks from an associate to the owner of a private practice. Help us understand how that process happened and just take us down the road that led you to where you are today, sir.
Okay, well, actually, I began as a solo practitioner, sharing space with another lawyer who eventually became a partner, and we were in a partnership for several years. And then I decided to move to a larger law firm, and I could not stand it. so so I did that for just over a year, and then I went out on my own in a solo practice again. For a while, I did have some associate attorneys working under me, but I really am a bit of a lone wolf when it comes to lawyering. I've always been that way. I think it helps me to retain my independence. I owe no one anything except my efforts and good feelings.
And integrity and honesty, and that's all you as an attorney can bring to the table. That's also what any client could expect.
Well, you as an attorney certainly know that, and that is the main thing. What we have is our word. And
yes, indeed, sir. I completely understand that. I understand some of your proudest work, though, came during your last semester at Oxford. And so, since I had the chance to talk to a gentleman and a scholar, take us through what that work meant to you.
Well, okay, that was actually in the town of Oxford in Mississippi, the University of Mississippi. I'd like to have attended Oxford, but this town was named after Oxford, England.
I know that's right.
So I got my law degree a little late in life from the University of Mississippi School of Law.
Yes, sir.
And I was at that time focused on environmental law. And so the coursework that I was taking, even though they did not have a real environmental program, that there were things that I needed to know, like federal administrative rules, which sounds very dreary, but is necessary if you're going to do environmental stuff. And so in that last semester of law school, I was a member of the Sierra Club. I became the head of the Sierra Club in the state while I was a law student. And I put together two lawsuits against federal agencies. The first was against what at that time was the Atomic Energy Commission and the TVA, or Tennessee Valley Authority, who were trying to build a nuclear power plant in the northeast corner of the state. I drafted the complaint. I drafted the motion. I gathered the witnesses and let my partner, future partner, present all of that in federal court. And we did get a temporary injunction, which was made permanent against that plant. So we still, these many years later, do not have a nuclear power plant there, and I'm very happy about that.
Fantastic.
Also, while a student, I put together a case against a federal agency that was trying to dredge and make a canal out of a Mississippi River. And I took that to federal court, got an injunction, temporary injunction, which was made permanent. And so I was able to oppose that project successfully. So I had not really intended to stay in Mississippi, but I was having a lot of luck in federal court before I even was a member of the bar. So I decided I'd stay around.
Mr. Lewis, I didn't realize until I started looking about Mississippi, that's a great place to really get involved in environmental law because the bayou is there and so many issues surrounding the environment. You can learn a lot right there in that state.
Right. One of the things I learned is it's very hard to make a living as a solo practitioner in environmental law. So I gradually moved more toward the civil rights and individual rights. I think things have changed a lot in Mississippi. We now have a civil rights museum in the state capital, which is quite remarkable.
Yes.
There's still a lot of racism, and I actually have a lot of my practice is on behalf of both Black and white people who are being discriminated against.
Any other interesting cases you want to share?
I'd like to mention something that I've become very interested in recent years, and that is to target corporations for profit that run our state prisons.
Interesting. This is a topic of conversation that is a front burner issue across the country. Share with us, sir.
That's right. You may recall that during the Obama administration, there was a move to get the federal prisons out of that business.
Yes, and I think that President Biden is moving in that direction.
I think so too. Mm-hmm. Well, it's an obvious conflict of interest situation. A corporation for profit has a first obligation to its investors.
Yes, indeed.
Not to the prisoners that they're taking care of. And so they cut the corners. They understaff. They won't send these prisoners to the hospital or to the emergency room when they should, because they have to pay the whole bill. There is no insurance on these people, medical insurance, and so they let them just die. And so I've been handling some cases on behalf of the families of prisoners who died because of neglect.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. That whole area of law is just really developing, and I know that the kind of work that you have done and will continue to do will impact greatly. What do you think, sir, is the most important part of a career in law, since you have such a varied career?
Well, I think the most important thing is to be independent in your thinking as well as in fact. Don't be swayed for political reasons. Mm-hmm. Make your word stick. Be honest. Work hard for your client. Mm-hmm. I do a lot of pro bono work too, and a lot more than I need to. Sometimes I think maybe I overdid it because I still have to eat.
And you still have to work now, you see? Uh-huh.
Yeah, here I am still working. Well, I don't deserve it, but I'm in very good health and still going. So.
And that's wonderful. So even though I was about to ask you, aside from your legal work, how do you give back to the community? But pro bono work is just such God's work. So I know that is an aspect of community service. Any other thing that interests you?
Well, I have recently retired from the board of the Institutional Review Board for the University of Mississippi. Okay. That's a board that oversees studies on human beings.
Okay.
To make sure that they're done in accordance with science, and they always have a lawyer on board to make sure that the guinea pigs know that they're guinea pigs.
In addition to your legal work, I understand you enjoyed doing a little art. So tell me about some of your sculptures.
Well, I did actual sculpture. In fact, I was in the process of creating what was entitled the Tree of Life when I had to give it up and give it to my apprentice because I had to go to law school. It was taking
and so primarily now your work is in blacksmithing, correct?
Well, that was way back in the 70s.
But and it was something you enjoyed.
Yeah, I enjoyed it very much. And I also picked up a job as a reporter for an upstart weekly newspaper at the time, and was lucky to break a national story for that weekly newspaper. And that was that Aristotle Onassis, the wealthiest man on the planet, was planning the world's largest supertanker port and a refinery off the coast of New Hampshire. And so we had everybody coming to our little humble office. The New York Times, the Boston Globe, the LA Times, they were all coming to get caught up on that a few weeks later after we first ran the story.
How fantastic. Now that's great. Wonderful. I mean, you are quite the Renaissance man, Ronald. And so that gives me the opportunity to ask what is my typical final question. What is the one thing you'd like the viewer of this video feature to walk away with about you, your life, and your life's work?
Well, particularly in light of recent events, I think that what I want to convey is the need for all of us to believe in the rule of law.
Okay.
And particularly believe in our Constitution. And within the Constitution, believe in the individual rights in the Bill of Rights. Mm-hmm. That is absolutely essential to a successful democracy.
I think that is about as eloquent a statement as an attorney can make, but also as a human being can make. And I think you are 100% right. Our focus should be on our individual rights and freedoms that impact collectively on us as a world community. And I think if we keep that in mind, we will be building a better world. Thank you so much for your time today, Mr. Lewis. I've had a
very happy to.
I had a great time. Yes, indeed. Thank you, sir.